Pathway for a mining engineer. Welcome to Australian Mining for New Starters, and in today's video we are going to look at the pathway that you can take as a mining engineer, and I'm going to use the example of becoming an underground manager. So if we jump over to the WA government's prerequisite for your first class mine manager certificate, and that's the one that pretty much everybody wants all around the world because it's the one that's internationally recognised. You can see all the requirements that you need to do down here. Now, I know people are going to want me to start at the beginning with doing your degree and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, you're going to do your degree to start with. So to get your mine manager certificate, you need a Australian university qualification, and that takes 4 years, and you're going to do some grad work with that's required for the university degree. But then you're going to get your 12-month grad job straight after that. And when you get your 12-month grad job, they normally throw you in and do a little bit of everything at that stage, and to see if they want to carry on with you. And if they do want to carry on with you, that's when they sign you up full time and you start doing your time in the pit or underground. And in this case, for the underground mine manager certificate, you have to do underground for at least you have to do recent activity for at least 3 months in these 4 different areas. So it looks like they have gone back to only having to do 1 year's experience underground. It used to be 2 years experience underground to get your underground manager's certificate, and they changed it back in the early 2000s back to one year, like this it is at the moment, or appears to be at the moment. They've changed it back again. That ran for a few years like that, and then they had to change it back to 2 years. The thing, if you're really after the advice that I'm going to give somebody to an engineer that's coming through, it's learn how the mine works. That's, and I'm not talking about how to plan it or, the ventilation plans or the mining planning or anything like that. Pretty much everybody that comes through university does a half decent job at that. What really separates everybody out, who becomes the underground manager and who has a long career and all that sort of stuff, apart from knowing the engineering stuff, which obviously everybody has to, but is knowing how the mine works and actually understanding how the jobs work. Because a lot of people, when they come through, they don't learn it properly, and unfortunately the crew, when they get a lot of engineers come through, not all the engineers cover themselves with glory, with the attitude that they take into doing some of these jobs. Sometimes they can come in with the attitude that it's beneath them and they don't really want to do it, and they didn't really understand that this was going to be a big part of the job when they decided to be an engineer. But it is, you've got to know how it all works, and if you don't know how it all works, it can really become a struggle, and you get found out later on. I've seen a lot of people get into the cross-shift job for the underground manager, so the junior underground manager of the team. So normally when you do 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, or even time roster, you have an alternate underground manager and an underground manager, and the alternate underground manager is the junior of the two, and you just watch people fall through that role. They get 12 months to find their feet, and if they can't find their feet, then they sort of get moved on back into the planning area and all that sort of stuff. And the reason that people fail in that role is because they just don't understand how it all works, and they when you don't know how it all works and you can't call people on what they're doing wrong down the hole, or you try and call people on stuff that they really do know what they're talking about and you're getting it wrong, it all goes badly for you. And that's one of the main reasons why I don't know why more engineers don't do the sponsors training, the DIY. It teaches you how the mine works from the actual worker's perspective, and it does a deep dive in on the nipper, the service crew, and the underground truck operation job. And it just gives you such a good springboard into the time that you're going to have to do underground, just to get your head around how it all works and to make the most of the time down there, because that's what you need to do. You need to make the most of the time that you've got with the experienced miners, because that's how you get your credibility, and you need credibility if you're going to be the underground manager, because they go through a lot of them because you either have it or you don't. And if you have it, then you probably spend 5 years as an underground manager, and then you move into the resident manager's role, because that's where they're looking for people to go up to. They're looking for people that have got it. But if you fail to understand how it all works, and I'm talking about the nuts and bolts of the actual physical jobs of mining, then you're really going to struggle to be able to know what's going on and manage it all, because it can all go very sideways very easily on you, especially with the way these mines work these days. So that's my advice, and that's the pathway to the engineering. You need to do your 4 lots of 3 months underground. You also need to spend 6 months doing the mine ventilation, mine planning and mine emergency. Be of good character, and you need to pass all the new tests of the new the law exam that they've got at the moment, the new one that they've got out. And so if you can do all that, then they'll issue you with a ticket, and that's the one that everybody wants, because WA is seen as the world's best practice. So everywhere around the world they will accept it, which is really good. Whereas if you come to WA and you've got a mine manager's certificate from another jurisdiction, they won't accept it. They'll make you do theirs, which I suppose is one of the reasons why everybody wants theirs. But it's got a really high standard, and it's all about knowing how it all works. If you can know how it all works, and that's why they make you do this bit, because you have to know how all this works if you're going to be an effective underground manager. Too many engineers get into it and they just concentrate on the engineering side of it without learning the nuts and bolts, and it really, it doesn't make for a pretty sight, especially when, you're making decisions in the top jobs. It's easy for things to go sideways on you when you don't understand what's going on around you. Now, a good foreman can make up for that, but you're not always guaranteed a good foreman if you're the underground manager, so you want to be able to work out what's going on for yourself. So I hope that lays out the pathway and my advice. If you're getting into it and you're about to do your time, spend the $500, learn how the mine works from the actual crew perspective, not from the above perspective. Makes a big difference to know how the crew does it and the way they think about things, because they're the ones that you have to lead, they're the ones that you have to inspire, they're the ones that have to go down and do the work day in and day out. And if you don't have their trust, then you're not going to last very long in the job. So that's my advice, and I hope that information helps. And if you've got any more questions about the mining industry, please send them through, and if you could like and subscribe the channel. Thanks.